questions.
Okay, so I'm going to show you how to change the brakes on a Honda Odyssey. This is for all the people out there who don't like going to service stations, like I don't like going to get my car serviced, because they want to charge a lot of money to replace rotors and brakes, and they have certain rules they have to follow. It's not their fault. But you don't actually have to go to these people. You can buy the brakes yourself for, I don't know, $35, $40 and just put them on. For anybody who's a little intimidated about it, I'm gonna show you how to do it. There's probably a ton of other videos you can go to see, but this is my 2012 Honda Odyssey. I'm gonna show you how I do it, okay? First thing you're gonna wanna do is make sure you have your tires and everything chalked, because you're gonna jack your car up. So let me show you what that looks like. Here's my tires chalked right here, see that? I have these special things which you can use, like a piece of wood. You can use bricks if you have that handle. I just bought these for camping in an RV and I still have them. So then what you want to do is jack your car up. I've already done that right here. Okay, you got to find the jack point. Can you see how there's a little flame thing sticking down there? That's the jack point. And you got to find that, because that's the only thing you can really hold weight. But I also have a second jack here, and this one, the only purpose is in case the car slips off of this jack, it will fall onto this one, hopefully, and it will save my life. Ordinarily, I like to loosen the lug nuts while the car is on the ground and then jack it up and take the lug nuts off. As you can see, I'm partway through the process here, but it's a pretty simple process to get these lug nuts off. They've already been loosened, and now all I'm doing is taking them off one at a time. And I'm going to put them over here where they won't roll down the driveway. Now the tire's loose, all the lug nuts are off. I'm just going to lift it off. Oh, it's kind of heavy, but I think I can do it with one hand. And just roll it off and set it over here somewhere. And this exposes the rotor right here, which is a very important part. You can see this one's got some quote-unquote hot spots. This is where the pad actually damaged the rotor. Now, the guys who wanted to repair my car wanted to replace this rotor. I do not want to replace it. It's just too expensive, and these rotors do warp because they're too small on this car, and driving in Dallas traffic as I do, they do tend to warp, and I do have to replace them every few years, but these are not warped yet, so I have no intention of replacing them just now. And of course, they charge a lot more money to replace these rotors when you go in. They would normally just resurface these, but I'm not going to resurface them or anything. If you read about me in the newspaper in a few days, then you'll know that I crashed my car because I didn't resurface the rotors. But I've done it many times this way, and it's not the best. It's not ideal, but over time, what will happen is this will get worn down and it'll look just like the rest of the rotor does. Something about a really heavy car being stopped by a piece of metal like this rotor. It kind of has the effect of grinding it down. Know what I mean? Yeah. Now, there's a couple things that I have done in the wrong order for a really long time. I'm only now beginning to figure out how it works, and that's one of the reasons I made this video, so that you guys will have the benefit of what I learned the hard way about doing this job. First thing I want to do is take this screw off. This is the one that holds the brake line to the car. It's very important to have it when you're driving, but for right now, we actually want to have a little bit of play room on this, and this will give us the ability to take the caliper off and work on it. There, I'm done without too much trouble. I really like this particular socket because it has a joint right here which allows me to operate it a little more easily. Although, as you can see right now, it's being a little cantankerous. Okay, got this bolt out, put it in my collection of bolts over there. When I put the car back together, I'll make sure my collection is empty so that I didn't leave anything off. Now the next thing we're going to do is loosen up these right here, which you can do once the caliper is off of the car, but it's easier to do it if it's still on the car. I think you'll be able to see that other one, right? Where is it? Well, right there. There's the other one. There's two of them. Now to do this loosening of these bolts here, you'll notice that there's this nut in this bolt. You've got to get a wrench on this, and you got to get a socket on this, because this whole mechanism will move if you're not careful. Okay, I broke this out, broke it loose a second ago, but I want to show you just, it's hard to, I'm filming this by myself, so it's hard to do a lot of the workmanship and the filming at the same time. But can you see how that's kind of loose right there? Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. If you don't put a spanner, a wrench on here, then it simply will spin like crazy in there as you're taking that bolt off. Now I don't want to take it all the way off just yet. I just want to get it started, because it's easier to do it while it's still mounted, hard mounted to the car. I'm going to do the one on the bottom next. Okay, I broke both of these loose. They'll come off without too much trouble later. But now we go to the big kahunas. These are what really hold the whole caliper in place. And that's this guy right here. See? You come at it, and you look at the back side of it, it looks like that. And for that, I need a 19 millimeter. By the way, you need a decent set of sockets to do this job. And also, I want to show you something else that I got for doing this job, because I do this myself all the time. This is a breakaway bar. I think that's what they call it. But it just gives you more leverage. It does not have a ratchet mechanism on it, but it does have the ability to bend here like this. And these are sometimes really difficult to break loose. So I just bought a special 19 millimeter socket that has a 1/2 inch drive on it. It's a little bit bigger drive. And then I put then I bought this breakout bar for the specific purpose of doing this very job. Now, get that bad boy on there. Oh, not fit it in there, but it should go. It's hard to film while I'm doing this. All right, come on, get on there, you silly. Yeah. Okay, get it in there. All right, I'm going to break it loose. I'm going to put the phone down for a second while I break it loose. Okay, I broke those two loose. Now I'm just going to use a regular socket wrench. There's two of these. There's one up here. Okay. And then there's one on the bottom. That's right. I believe that's... yeah. That one, I believe, is it. Right there. Okay, at this point, I'm going to move these under here, and this will give me something to put my caliper on while I'm working on it. This is why I need this broken loose here, because otherwise it'll be dangling by this cable right here. I don't know how other people do it, but this is just how I've started doing it. Okay, just going to lay the caliper right here once I get these screws out. Okay, I got the screws out, and the caliper comes off just like this, and I'm going to lay it down right there. Okay, there, one hand. Now, if you remember, we loosened these screws a little bit earlier. They're not finger tight exactly, but we're going to take these off next, and this will release the hydraulic part here from the part that holds the pads in place. You'll see what I mean in a second here. It's these screws right here. Okay, I took this screw out. I'm going to put it over here with my collection, and now you can see this part is free. I'm going to do it on the other side next, right there. Okay, I got both those screws out. 1, 2, And now, in theory, it should come right off. See that? It was in here. I just took it right off like that. And this is where we're going to put our new brake pads, in this mechanism. In fact, what we need to do is take these old ones out. Get that out of there. You'll notice these little springs on top here. These are designed to cause your pads to separate when you're not pressing on the brake. It keeps them from rattling, and it makes the car sound a little bit better. I'm actually working on a yoga mat here. It's an old one that nobody uses, but it's makes the driveway slightly softer. All right, now we're also going to remove these little clips right here. See that? The brake kit that I bought provides new clips like these. Take those out. Let's find the new ones. Here we are. Put these in there. Okay. I may take 2 hands to do this. I don't really know, but okay. Come on, get in there. It should go nice and flat in there. Yeah, just like that. Okay, let's get the other one in there. Yeah. A little bit tricky to get them in there, but not too bad. Heck, a guy could do it with one hand if he had to. All right, okay, they're both in there now. Now we're going to get our new pads. And you'll notice something about these. They have one side has one of the 2 pads has a kind of a thing that sticks up, and you have to make sure that you put this so that it faces inside the car. Okay, and I'm trying to remember which way is the right side up right now, so I'm a little embarrassed. Hang on a second, I gotta figure this out. Okay, it took me a second, but as it happens, this is right side out. Okay, now I'm gonna slide it right in here. These, I don't know if you can tell by looking at that, but I'm gonna try to get them right. Well, anyway, I'm gonna use 2 hands to do it, but it'll slide right in there in a second here. Hang on. Okay, it took 2 hands, but I did get them in there. You can see there's like a little slot right there that they go into. That's right. That's where you need to put them, right in there, just like that, both ends. Now, we're going to put our springs in there. And what you'll find on the top of these brakes is a tiny, tiny little hole right about there. See that? And another one. It's a little bit hard to see, but it's right there too. See that? And my spring goes in this hole, and it wraps around, and it goes in this hole right there. Okay, we're gonna put the other spring in too, which is laying right here for some reason. It goes in this hole, and then it goes in this hole right here. I think that's the hole anyway. Yeah, it's right there. Okay, now this is pretty much ready to go at this point. I'm going to set this aside just for a second, and I'll show you the next thing that I'm going to do. It has to do with the old worn brakes and the position of these 2 plungers right here. Okay, I need to push those back, and I actually have a tool for doing that. It's not a bad idea to invest in one of these. They don't cost that much. And they do give you the ability to, it just makes your life a little bit easier. But you can do it with the C-clamp too, and that's how I did it for years before I had this tool. Hang on. Here's the tool right here. And you'll see that I end up using a clamp anyway, but the tool goes in. First you gotta kind of, just like a caulk gun, you gotta kind of push the plunger back. It goes in like this. Okay, do you see that? I just drop it in there. And then I'm going to start squeezing on it. It turns out that it's a perfect fit for this Honda Odyssey. It just slots right in there perfectly, okay? Little music for you there while we're doing this job. And I'm pushing that plunger back, and this one is going to come out while this one goes back. And that is why we're going to use a C-clamp here in a second. You probably want to get yourself a C-clamp. They're real cheap. The C-clamp is a little bit difficult to get on there, but not too bad. What you want to do is just put it on there about like this. Okay, put it on there about like that. And give it a turn. And all it's doing is holding that plunger so that it doesn't pop out when we push this one in. And this is forcing the brake fluid back up through this tube. And it's going to make our caliper open up more so that when we put our new brakes in there, which are a lot thicker than our old brakes, everything will fit together. There'll be enough clearance to get that thing on there. Okay, here we go. Oh, this one's really hard to get in there. So a little surprised by that. Okay, well, I don't know why that is. This job is obviously not going perfectly. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of research here, figure out what's keeping that thing from going in. Okay, I think what had happened there is it had popped out so far that it wasn't actually down in the cavity anymore. And I'm having some focus problems here. And so it was not wanting to slide in there easily, but I kind of jiggled it a little bit and it seems to be going in there now the way it's supposed to. Okay, I'm just squeezing on the handle with my hand just like this. I don't know why my autofocus is not working. There it goes. All right, I'm just squeezing with the hand. There we go. Oof. There. Okay. Now we just remove these two items, and that will not pop back out again. Take them off. Here we go. Ooh. Now for the fun part, we put our brand new system of brakes back in here. I'm going to put it in just like this. I'm going to have to push this in a little bit. There it goes. Push this one in a little bit. Come on. There it goes. And it's dropping in there really nicely. Kind of see what that looks like now. Now we got to put these screws back in. We don't have to tighten them all the way, but we do have to get them started to hold everything in place. Okay, as you can see, I am working on getting that screw in there. I'm having some difficulties because it's just really rusty, but it's still doable with one hand. Okay. We don't want to twist this boot too much. That boot is protecting the caliper so that it floats. It has to float in the in its what do you call that? It's called a abutment bracket. See that? Number one, abutment bracket. That's this big thing that we're working on. So put that in there. Grab the other screw. I think it's this one. You have to sing when you say that if you really want it to work. Well, that one's probably the one that goes up there. Yeah, hang on. Oh, there it is. Just gonna put it right in here. Okay. Gotta line those up a little bit. It's kind of hard to do, but you can get it with a little practice. And okay. That's really all we need. We don't have to tighten them down yet. Now we're going to lift our caliper and put it back on the car right here. Let's see if I can do it with one hand. no, I shouldn't have given my cameraman the day off, I guess. Okay, he's going on there. You can see now why we needed to make some more room. That's why we pushed those, because our brakes are really close to being completely, you know, not even allowing us to get it back on. Now I'm going to have to use 2 hands to spread those brakes out with my fingers before it'll actually get on the vehicle, I think. Oh, nope, I was wrong. It actually did slip on there. Now I've got to put the top big bolt on. It goes right there, you may recall. Okay. Okay, we got both of these finger tight in here. One, let's see if I can find the other one. I don't know if you can see it or not. Hopefully you can see that too. I'm gonna tighten them up with a ratchet, and then I'll use my bar to cinch them down. There actually is a very specific torque that you want to put on these bolts to make them safe. I don't know what it is, and I don't have a torque wrench, so my definition of the right amount of torque is make them tight so they don't come off, and I've never had them come off. Okay, those bolts are tight now. Well, it's these that I'm talking about right here. It's starting to get dark out here. I better hurry up and finish this job. The next thing I'm going to do is tighten down these bolts. Remember, we didn't finish tightening those down. And we'll use a wrench right here, and I will use a socket. Probably not this one, or maybe it is. Yep, that's it. Okay, I'll use a socket to do the job. See how that wrench wants to move? See how that wrench wants to move every time I move the socket? Okay, well, there it goes. See that? That's what we don't want, because that's going to twist up that little boot down there, which is not good for it. Okay, so I'm going to use 2 hands to finish this job. And don't forget, we have one on the top, which we just finished, and one on the bottom, which I'm doing right now. Okay, now we're going to put this bolt back in. It's right here. It goes right in there like that. Okay. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's kind of hard to... Anyway, I may use 2 hands to do this, but that's essentially what we're going to do right there. I'm just tightening this down. I really don't like to get my head under the fender of this car while it's jacked up like this. I just don't feel like it's safe enough. So while I'm willing to do this job just with these 2 jacks in place, but it's very important that you're super careful. I've never had a car fall on me, and I would like to keep it that way if possible. Okay, we're going to make that tight, and then we're going to put the wheel back on right there. I put the tire on, okay, and sorry about that. I've got all the lug nuts on there. They're still finger tight, but they're in place. I'm going to go give them a quick quick turn with the factory tire tool right here, tire iron, and here again I always skip one. This one, skip that one, do this one, skip the next one, do this one, and then this one, and then this one, and then I may go around again. Okay, that gives you a nice even torque on everything. Okay, so I'm going to go to this one next, and I don't have to tighten them down yet. I just need to get them snugged in there pretty good. And then when we get the car on the ground, then I'll put them in the rest of the way. It's a lot easier to do that while the car is on the ground. A lot easier to do it while you're not holding the camera too, but that's not going to be possible right now. Okay. Go around the horn one more time. Make sure they're all cinched in there pretty good. Yeah. Okay. That looks good. Feels good. Now we're going to carefully let the car down. Let's put this somewhere where it won't roll away. Very carefully let the car down. Put this in here. Remove this safety jack. I like to kind of watch, make sure everything, I haven't left anything under the car. Nothing's getting squished. This particular jack stand, there's a separate valve right here that you use to, well, in theory, whoop, okay, so much for slow. All right, there we go. Now we can take our jack stand out of there. So let's put our tools away. Remember, this is a 19 millimeter with a 1/2 inch drive on a breakaway bar. Our caliper separator, ratchet handle, three sockets. We got one at 19 millimeters, one at 14 millimeters, and one at 12 for this car. Your car may be quite a bit different. And of course we have the factory tire tool. These happen to be deep sockets, but I don't think you need a deep socket for this job. A regular socket will do just fine. 19 millimeter wrench. A C-clamp. I used this jack as a safety jack, but I also have these little guys that can be stacked and can hold a tremendous amount of weight as well. And then of course the jacks, the hydraulic floor jack. This one I just moved and it's missing a little piece on the end, so I need to get the piece that goes in here. It'll be that much safer, but as it is, it was okay. By the way, if you have a Honda Odyssey and you're wondering where the spare tire and the tire tool are, they're right here. I'm in the back seat. I'm gonna flip this up. You can see them right there. Okay? Now that I have my car on the ground, I'm gonna go around and make sure all of the lug nuts are tight. And remember, I'm skipping every other lug nut. Since I have an odd number, eventually I'll get around to all of them. Yeah, that feels good and tight. One thing I'd like to point out is that I am not a professional mechanic, so everything you've seen right here may not be right, and you could die because that's a safety item, brakes. Okay, I'm just trying to help you understand that changing your brakes really isn't that big a deal. Now that we've got the legal stuff out of the way, we're going to test drive the car. One thing to keep in mind is when you test drive your car, you're going to find that the brakes are on the floor because we've pushed them out and we've forced all the fluid back into the master cylinder. So before you take it and put it in drive and drive through your garage, make sure you give that brake a few little pumps, just like that, until it's off the floor. Then it'll be safe to drive your car.